The face of missions is changing. Once, countries abroad were mission fields that desperately needed gospel messengers. And the Western Church responded by sending missionaries during the great missionary movement of the 19th and the 20th century. But today, God is raising up not foreigners, but national leaders who bring the gospel to their own people. They know the language, the culture, and the needs of their countrymen. And they're committed to bringing the gospel to them in large cities and in remote villages. The need for training is tremendous. But in many countries, national leaders don't have ready access to get that kind of theological training and practical training. For example, in the Presbyterian Church of India, Reformed, less than 1/3 of the pastors have any kind of formal theological or practical training. Without that teaching and training, preaching and teaching tends to be legalistic, living tends to be moralistic, and there is no foundation of grace. I.T.E.M is committed to incorporating and explaining the doctrines of grace as they apply throughout all of life, in order that when they live it, they will live it by grace, and the gospel will be adorned as they share it in their communities and with their congregations. Perry Tinklenberg, Christian Reformed pastor in Spokane, Washington, and one of our instructors, has put it beautifully. You and I have the pleasure of being God's vessels to pour the gospel truth into the hearts and lives of men and women that He is using worldwide. I.T.E.M operates effectively, efficiently, and economically. We send Reformed pastors and professors from various denominations to the field to train the national leaders. It's far more economical to bring one professor to a dozen students than to try to bring a dozen students over here to the United States. By bringing the instructor to the students, I.T.E.M saves time, money, and family hardship. Recently, one of our instructors was able to train 100 leaders in Presbyterian Church of India Reformed for a cost of $1.38 per student classroom hour. By God's grace, I.T.E.M has trained over 5,000 national leaders in the last 20 years. In such places as Latvia, Lithuania, and the Baltic region through Baltic Reformed Theological Seminary, in Ukraine through Kiev Regional Bible College, in Russia through Tumen Bible College, in Croatia, and now in 5 locations in India. We go to take the truth of God's Word to train, teach, and transform God's leaders throughout the world today and tomorrow.